Lord and Father, I just want to thank you that we can come here and worship you. And I pray right now you just use me as your vessel to bring across the message we have about the family, Lord. And I pray that it opens up our eyes to ways that we can communicate better than that together, Lord. And I just praise your name, amen. You know, lots of Saturday nights you can go past the Moose and stuff like that. And their parking lots are full there, aren't they? You go to a lot of places like that, and you go on a weekend, and they're full. Now, on Sunday mornings, go by a lot of church parking lots. You'll notice there's parking lots, there's a lot of parking lots that are empty anymore. The churches aren't they?
Yeah.
What's the difference between these places? What is the challenges we have in the church of people? The people at these places will tell you, if you ask them, that these places are places, they're like the real family to them. You know? But most of the churches, what do? We go on Sunday mornings, when we show up at church, we do what we think our duty is, and we leave, don't we?
Yep.
We don't spend time with each other. You know, if we go back to the Old Testament, like in Hebrews 10, 24 through 25, it says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as a habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." You know, this is one of the things that we regret, we especially after COVID. A lot of people aren't going to worship anymore, are they?
No.
So I can sit there and watch it on TV. You don't get the strength you need by that, do you? And as we look at this, it's going to be one of the things, because if we look at the lady at the well, this is one of the problems I hear a lot in the churches. If we go to John 4, 7 through 10. It says, Jesus answered her, "If you know the gift of God, and who is it that I say to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you some." And the woman said, "Sir, you have nothing to draw from the water. Where will you draw for?" And that lady gave water. "And the greater that our father Jacob, and he gave us to drink from him. Did his son," I started way low. I'm started 7. Sorry about that. Verse 7. "And a woman from Samaria came to draw the water. Jesus said, 'Give me a drink.' For his disciples have gone away into the city in the food." And the Samaritan one said to him, "How is that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, the woman of Samaria? For Jews have no dealing with Samaritans." Wait a minute. Do we do that lots of times in churches? We see people and we don't greet them where they're at, do we? This is one of the biggest things that people have rejection of the church. They come in, they feel like they're judged, don't they? Are we any different than each other here?
No.
The church is a place where we're supposed to accept everybody. It don't mean we all have our struggles. We have our things we have, our problems we have. But as you think about it, none of us are perfect in the church. Some people have sins that are more out there that we know about. A lot of us hide them better. You know, this lady, Jesus had to come and have the disciples leave, because if they would have been there, what would they have done? They would have pulled her away from him, wouldn't they? Do we do that in our churches? Are we a family? Are we willing to accept them? We are willing to accept them for the way they are. I know years ago I had people would say, "Well, I'm not going to come to church because I don't have a suit and tie to wear." Why should that ever matter? When we're a people of God, we accept everybody for the way they are. It don't mean we accept their sin. I don't want to get anybody thinking that we accept the sin they're doing. But we accept them where they are and we help them grow, don't we? And that's why this lady here, we have to be like God was with her. Because as she left, he said, sin no more. He knew her past. He knew about her husbands. He knew about everything, didn't he? But he still took the time out to be with her. If you go back to the Sadducees and Pharisees, what were they doing? They were making fun of her for going out and drinking and eating with Samaritans, weren't they? I mean, what's the difference when we meet with the regular people, Gentiles? We need to be out reaching people. If we don't know the sinners, we don't know who they are, do we?
No.
We can't help them. You know, this is one of the things. And as we go through, the congregation at the church must accept these people. And as a Christian, we are told to use the body of God to stir up the love and good works of people. In places people feel accepted and listened to, we listen to their struggles and have, but if we're not talking to each other and listening to each other's challenges, they're going through. Because most congregations go to church on Sunday morning because it's what our family's always done, right? We always did. We check the box and say, I did my part, run out as soon as the service is over, head to the restaurant or sporting event, not ever saying hello. And we wonder why we really never feel connected to church. But when we go to other places, we feel really connected because we communicate with them and each other. We take the time to know their lives and how closely we are connected. You know, when you go to a sporting event and your kids are playing, don't you sit down and talk to the parents next to you? You get to know them, don't you? And you make friendships. And if you go to other things, you actually sit down with each other. In the church, what do? We come here Sunday morning. As soon as the pastor's done, we see how fast we get out the door, don't we? Well, some of you don't. Hey. But no, that's what we've been taught, hasn't it? We're supposed to be a family. And a lot of that comes back to, we go to Titus 2, 3 through 7. Right? Go to Titus 2, 3 through 7. Older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, or slaves to money. Why? They are to teach what is good and to train the young women to love their husbands and their children, to be self-controlling, pure, and working at home, kind and submissive to their own husband, that the word of God may not be reviled. Likewise, urge younger men to be self-controlled. Show yourself in all respect in the model of good works. And in your teaching, show integrity, dignity, and sound speech that cannot be condemned, so that an opponent may be put to shame, having nothing evil to say about us. Wait a minute here. Who's supposed to be training these younger people up? It's supposed to be the older ones in the church, isn't it? Are we doing that job?
Not
Because
really.
the thing is, we have to know each other before we can train. You don't trust somebody until that happens, do you? You know, for me to get where I'm at now, Gary Shawver, he was an older man in the church, he took me aside and said, you need to start going to prayer meetings. You need to start coming and praying with us. You need to know the importance of it. You know, if he wouldn't have took me aside, I wouldn't realize the importance of prayer and all that stuff. You know, the midweek Bible study, because if you're not doing a midweek Bible study in that, you start losing it, don't you? And then, Don Baxter, he was one of the ones that taught me, when I became a deacon, you know, there was times that were really rough. He taught me not to give up. He taught me to continue on and keep going. But these guys would take me to their side and help me. And if it wasn't for these guys, I would never be standing up here now, because if you know, I don't like being up here. This is something that God put me where I don't, and I'm comfortable alone. I'm more comfortable with these teenagers. Okay. Yep. It's when I come up here, I feel like I'm not where I should be. But then Don Evans, he taught me how to work with the people and take that next level. God has put different guys in my life because I was willing to go and know them and talk to them, that I could trust them, and they were willing to take themselves and go up and be part of my family. They might not be my family, my biological family, but they're my family of God. And if you have them, you'd be surprised at things you can do. This is one of the biggest things that gets to me, because in verse 3, we are called to go through life with others. We're not called to be separate. In Romans 12:15, it says, rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. You know, we go through life in good times with people, like having a baby, when they do accomplishments, when they go to the big things, and we see that. Everybody wants to celebrate that, don't they? You have people that are by your side you never knew. They're excited, they're rejoicing. But who are the people who remember? You don't remember all that, do you? We remember the people that weep with us. We remember the people that are willing to get their hands dirty and come to us when we're going through them hard times. These are the people that we're supposed to be. God tells us to rejoice with everybody and weep with them. You know, this is one of the things that I've learned through my life. I look at the things I've been through, and I can go back and relate it to people and help them. Do I want to relive what I went through? No. But I'm willing to use that to help others. And that's some of the biggest things I have with going with the teens, because some of my life growing up wasn't as easy as some of the other ones are. So I can use that to help them. And I'm not afraid to do that. During the time of weeping, though, we remember the people the most. Some of the most important things we knew is first, most importantly, is just to listen to them. Be quiet. Job's friends with him were there for 7 days. Before they said anything, when they opened their mouths is when they made the worst mistake. You know, people say to me, when somebody's hurting, what do I do? Just listen to them. Be quiet. See what they have, what's in their heart. Because we're not listening to them, we don't know even how to help them, do we? This is one of the biggest things. We guys have this problem more than women, because we don't understand. We want to fix it. So when somebody tells us something, we want to find out a cure for it and fix it. But sometimes there is no cure for it. It's just a matter of listening. And listening to what's in somebody's heart. If you go to a funeral, the biggest thing I hear people say, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just give them a hug and tell them you're praying for them. You know, some need advice. But use God's wisdom. This is not the time to tear down, but it's time to build each other up. We need to give them advice sometimes. Sometimes they are asking for advice. So we have to continue to ask what God's wisdom is on this. Because if we want to give them what sound advice is. I mean, you can go out and ask a friend. If they've never been through what you've been through, you're not going to get good advice. And this is one of the things you learn as you get older. And third, sometimes it's to tell them how you handled it in your past and how you came through it, and encourage them. You know, with things that happen in our life, we can go and use that. Like I said a little bit earlier, that's where it hurts us. Because when you have to bring up the past memories in your heart, sometimes that hurts. But it's sometimes what they need. And sometimes it's what it will help you heal even more. And how do we get to this point of being able to do this in a few ways? The church gives us a chance to do this. The church services on Sunday mornings. Come to church. Be here. Get to know the people. Get here a little bit early. or stay a little bit later and sit around and talk to everybody. This is one of the biggest things I found when we've seen the church grow the biggest here in Brisbane. I mean, it was probably an hour before we even got out of the church because everybody was a family. And I mean, you've sometimes felt more at home here than you did your biological family. The second thing is church services on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. You know, we have services during the midweek, and they're the smaller groups. And when you get in the smaller groups, you actually get to know people. You talk to them. You get to spend time with them. You get to know their lives. We do that. These guys do that a lot with teens. I know that because they'll get together and hang out. They do the midweek Bible study now. And us adults, what do we do during the week? Do you actually talk to the people in the church? Do you actually know what their lives are? Do you actually even know anything about them? If we're a family, you know each things, don't you? And also, one of the things we've been trying to do is the fellowship dinners. There's the fellowship dinners we have on Sunday. And if you look back in Bible time, the communion, when they had communion, it wasn't like we had the bread and the wine, just little containers, and they sat down. They actually sat down for a whole meal back then. They had a whole meal together. What happens when you sit down for a meal? You actually sit there with other people, you start talking, you start to get to know them. You start to find out about their lives. God sat down with the disciples. He knew them. They knew him. We're supposed to know each other in the church. We're supposed to know about each other. This is what we're called to be as a family. You know, most families, they say they eat together, they stay together. If you eat meals together every night, isn't the family stronger?
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the ways the church tries to do that. Once a month, we try to do that. You know, as a youth leader, one of the first things they tell you as a youth leader, to go out with the kids, as your new youth leader comes in, they don't tell you to do a lesson every one of them. They tell you get pizza, get soda, sit down with them, and talk. Nobody's going to trust you until they know you. Isn't it a matter of believing, a matter of trusting that you know they know who Christ is? By trusting each other, we grow fonder, we grow closer. You know, another way is helping others with ministry. You know, you look at Good News Club, you look at, we have that, we have teens, we have teen camp. We have a lot of things that go on here, VBS. When you do them, you actually get to know the people. I've had more adults come to teen camp and work the week and grow stronger to God than some of the teens. Because they actually get to know each other. They get to know about each other. This is stuff we have to do to work together as a family, don't we? Is there going to be problems? Definitely. I mean, this is one of the big things as you get to know each other. We get to know each other's problems too, don't we? We get to know their personality parts we don't like. I mean, you watch two family members fighting, never get between them, because what happens once you get between them? You're the enemy. They might be fighting with each other, but if you start fighting with one of their family members, all of a sudden you're the enemy. You can't take one side or the other because you're going to lose. You know, if we're strong as a family of God, what's going to happen? If our strength is Christ and we become a family, nobody's going to be able to stop us. We have to have all them cords together. It's just like if you bring a little piece of yarn, you only have one, you can break it, can't you? Take and wrap about 10 together, put them together, and try pulling them apart. You can't break it then, can you? That's what a family is. A A family's here to give us strength. It's to pick us up when we're falling down. It's someplace we need to go to lift us up and encourage us. And that's the way a church should be. And that's why this is so important to me. Whenever I looked at this, I said, we need to become a family. It don't matter who's up here speaking. A church won't fall apart if the church is a family. You don't have to have one guy leading. Because as a family, everybody's together. We're one bond. And that's what the Bible calls us to be, a family of God. And that's what I pray each one of us here become. Let's close and pray. Lord our Father, I just pray right now that you help each one of us understand that we need to become a family. We need to become stronger. We need to get to know each other. We need to love each other, Lord, and we need to go through the hard times and good times together. And I pray you just give us that strength to do that. And I pray this in your name, amen.